It's the end of the world as we know it.
Team by team, players baffled, Trump tethered, fragged. Look at that, low plane, fine then. Overflow, population, common loop. But'll do, save yourself, serve yourself. Games serve their own needs, listen to your teammates bleed. Tell me with the rapture and the reverend in the right. Your vitriolic, patriotic slam fight, bright light, feeling pretty psyched.
It's the end of the world as we know it. And secondary place is how we do it. The secondary heroes is how we work it. And I feel fine.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 53 of the Secondary Heroes podcast. This week, we talk about post-apocalyptic futures in pop culture. This is your host, Trevor, and joining me as usual is...
Hey, guys, it's Prague.
It's Josh.
The internet says I'll survive 45 days in the apocalypse. This is DeLorean Wolfgang, baby.
That long.
Nice.
I'm surprised.
I think I could last longer. The internet, you know what? I guarantee you it's one of those random things. So I probably...
The internet adds 42 years, yeah.
Ah, yes. 42.
Is that your excuse, Prague?
42 days. Sorry, 42 days.
45 days.
That'd be awesome.
So far, this is better than take one.
But there was no take one. What are you talking about?
What are you talking about?
This is all live, straight up. Nothing else ever happened.
Our last take was a little dystopian, but that's all right.
Oh, man, and now we're here in the future.
All right.
That's right. Hey, if you're new here and you like what you're hearing, make sure you check us out over on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram for pop culture news updates, cons, and I don't know, cons we'll be attending, giveaways, and more. And please rate and review and subscribe to the Secondary Heroes podcast on iTunes, Spotify, and SoundCloud. This is all free for you and priceless to us.
And be sure to add in YouTube.
There you go.
And I added us to Google Play, too. So you pretty much anywhere you could possibly imagine, you can find Secondary Heroes.
Wow.
Yeah, and let us know what you're liking, what you're hearing from us. If you like that, let us know. If you want for us to talk about something else, let us know too. Give us some ideas. We want to hear from you guys. We want that feedback. You know, if there's something that you're like sick of us talking about, let us know. We'll stop and we'll do something new.
Absolutely. Add it in the comments on underneath the shows, and we would love to read through your comments and just kind of get an idea of what we need to cut out, what we need to add more of, and more.
Speaking of, after last week's episode, we kind of left a scorched earth with one of our most insane episodes ever. So with that in mind, we have this new post-apocalyptic future of all these different movies and TV shows and books and games that are based on that.
That was a smooth segue, sir.
That was pretty good.
That was. Last week was a mess, that was for sure. But you know what? It was a fun episode.
It was. You came in like Job on that segue. I like that. That was our Arrested Development for you guys.
You mean Gob?
Job? Gob?
Gob?
Yes.
Oh, dude, I love that guy. He's the best part of that whole show.
He is, but it's not a post-apocalyptic show. God, we're gonna have a tough time saying this word tonight.
Post-apocalyptic?
A pop video?
A pop-poops?
Something like that. But we are talking about post-apocalyptic futures in pop culture, but also I think we should include in some of the dystopian futures, which aren't necessarily stuff that happens after an apocalypse. As happen to be what many people think are going to be our futures that aren't quite as happy as we would like. But it'd be kind of fun, I think, for us to talk about the different ways that is shown up in pop culture, whether it is TV shows, movies, or video games and such.
Well, that's the cool thing is like it almost like it's such a fun thing to just imagine. I know that post-apocalyptic stuff isn't
super
fun to imagine, but it's fun to just kind of like, I mean, it's fun to think about.
I think it'd be fun. I think it'd be fun for our listeners at home to count how many times we mess up saying post-apocalyptic during this podcast.
Maybe we do a giveaway for that.
we also need bets on who would last the longest.
Right?
Oh, come on.
Not screw up. Who screws up first?
We all know that I would last the longest out of this group.
I don't know. I was doing pretty bad pre-show.
Dude, I could live off of ramen noodles for like the rest of my life.
I probably could too. I definitely bloat easy though, so I don't know if that would be a good thing for me to eat that much sodium. But anyways, talking about these futures, I think it's kind of cool for us to like really talk about not just what shows and movies and stuff are like it, but like also talk about like the different kinds of futures, you know, because there are futures that are predicated by like a cataclysmic event, like a nuclear bomb versus a zombie
Example,
outbreak.
The Planet of the Apes, the new version where the coronavirus spreads
Just-
right at the end.
Coronavirus, yes.
At least we finally know what it is.
That's what it was.
And we just need one of the Francos to release some kind of thing for monkeys.
Interestingly enough, the coronavirus, they have the origin, or the species that came from is the pangolin, which isn't monkeys, but shout out to pangolins.
Pangolins. I'm pretty sure it's a made-up species.
Is that like a booby bird?
They're a combination of like an armadillo and an anteater.
Oh, yeah.
And whenever they're pictured, they have their head down and their hands are like kind of below in their lap, and it's like, "Oh yes, sire, I'm sorry that the the prisoners have escaped." Every single time, they just look like some minion guy.
It's almost like they're bowing down, like saying, "Yes, Dark Lord, I have released the virus into the world."
Well,
Yes,
I like my coronavirus with some Lyme disease, so let's get started.
nice.
Let's get started. So I think a good one for us to start off is kind of the one that really set the tone for a lot of the film industry and the shows was Blade Runner. But I mean, mostly stylistically. You look at like anything nowadays, like a lot of shows are predicated by the look of that film. It's this whole like cyber techy kind of future where the higher ups of society live above everybody else, and there's the dredges below all these poor people, and there's cyborgs and robots and such in the future. And of course, we live in that future now where it's set in time. We're in that part, so we haven't really reached that, But I think a lot of people were disappointed we don't have the flying cars like they do in that. But I think that one really did set a visual
why is
tone.
everybody always disappointed about flying cars? That's such a
Why wouldn't you
dumb
be?
thing to be upset about.
I want a flying car.
Come on, look at the litter that people throw out their windows in cars right now. Just imagine if they're
You
hundreds
chopping
of
it on your
feet in
head.
the air and
Right.
chucking.
Well, I'm
I-
sure there would be some kind of
editing
regulation
myself
to
with
have
a
it closed up so you can't actually roll down a window when you're flying.
If I've got a flying car, it better be a convertible. I want the breeze to be in my hair.
Right? Maybe.
But no flying cars. I don't think
No
that we
flying
ever
cars.
need it. We don't
What,
need
what
it.
about the whole cyborg situation? Because that comes up, in Blade Runner and a lot of other post-apocalyptic movies and shows, is the idea of replicating humans, like making robots look more like us in the future. So much so that in Blade Runner, like they don't even know that they're robot.
Clones.
Bison
they-
Signal Man with Robin Williams.
Yeah, there's a lot of that in the future in a lot of these shows.
Yeah,
do they
I don't
have a
know.
conscience because of it? Would you want to live in
Honestly,
a
I
future
actually
like
never
that?
saw Blade Runner, and I tried watching the new Blade Runner, and I'm not gonna lie, man. I know a lot of nerds are gonna be mad at me, but God, was that movie boring.
You can't watch the sequel. Why would you watch this? Never mind.
Of course you
Anyways.
can. 2049 is a standalone film that's absolutely amazing.
And that's the thing. Everybody
guess you
told me
could,
that I could
but-
watch it standalone.
It's definitely a different movie than the first Blade Runner.
Yeah,
And
the original, I can't understand half of the dialogue because sound mixing and sound editing is so terrible in the 80s, and that's the problem with 80s movies.
Whoa!
No, he
Easy.
is true. It is tough. Some of those movies, especially Blade
Yeah,
Runner. Blade Runner
The
may look
mics
great,
just
but
don't
it's
pick
tough.
up on this stuff.
It is tough to hear some of the enunciations of things.
I had to watch that movie with subtitles. Like I was watching Parasite or something. I mean, they're speaking
Right.
English and you can't understand what they're saying.
At least you think they are.
Then why was it such a popular movie then? I don't get it.
For the
Maybe
time.
back then people were just used to movies being like that and like.
Yeah,
new.
you're used to
I'm
not being
saying.
able to understand anything. You're like, oh,
Right?
there's
Oh, that's
future.
right.
I'm literally imagining.
Future's now.
Oh yeah, it's a replicant. Gotta get the replicant.
Well, Harrison Ford mumbles all the time anyway, no matter what
Yeah,
role he's
yeah,
in.
exactly.
So that makes it that much worse.
It's a replicant over there.
Is
Yeah,
that-
so that's what I'm expecting.
No, what's
But
interesting though about 2049 versus Blade Runner is more like cyberpunky, future, whereas 49 is more actual post-apocalyptic. It has that desolate wastelands
Yeah.
and stuff in it, which you don't have in the original Blade Runner. Blade Runner is all city, the whole time. It's all about these cyborgs and stuff, and where 2049 is really like this desolate wasteland where, the cyborgs are trying to hide out in these places. So two different kinds of films.
Unbelievable part of the original Blade Runner, it constantly rains in LA.
Right?
Oh my
There's
God.
no climate change future where that's going to be happening.
It would take quite a cataclysmic event to make that happen.
Yeah, this whole side is just a
Yep.
giant desert. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why maybe 49 makes more sense, right? Because it never rains and it's always dry and desert-like.
They do
There you
have
go.
that cool double-decker freeway when they go into Las Vegas. That's really the only way you can improve our traffic patterns is double-decker freeways at this point.
Double-decker freeways.
It's my favorite part of the whole movie. The abandoned double-decker freeway.
There you go. But I think, anyways, that was my starting off point, I think, because I think that movie kind of set a tone for a lot of other movies and shows that came after it. But what do you guys kind of think of when you think of post-apocalyptic or those kind of
Well,
stuff? Like, what things come to your mind? Like
right now, I'm thinking of Total Recall. I wasn't thinking about it at all, but it's quite a
I
bit
almost
like
put that on our list.
it's
but I
quite a
was
bit like Blade Runner inspiration.
Right. But I mean, it's the same author, which makes sense. If you have the same author writing the two stories, so kind of the same themes too in both those. I want to say,
It would make sense to create a colony on Mars once we destroy Earth.
yeah, it does. It's definitely believable, right? Like, why would you want to stay here? I mean, technically, I think in they kind of do that in Blade Runner. They have the off-world colonies and stuff. They just don't really go there.
Right.
They just hint at it. They don't really tell you much about it. Whereas you actually get to see it, which is kind of fun. Or do we see it? Is it really real? You know, is Mars really real?
Well,
Is it
yeah,
really
exactly. Is the whole thing just a giant simulator? That's
And
totally.
Now we
That's
tie
kind of
that into the Matrix.
yeah, you could. That's what I was gonna say. Like, there's
God,
films like
Matrix
The
is so
Matrix
good.
where it's like, well, Earth is so bad that we had to create a fake reality that we live in while we sit in pods.
Oh no, humans didn't create that.
No, I know. I'm
machines
just saying.
created that.
No, I'm not saying that specific movie. I'm talking about the idea of humans wanting to create a world that's better than our own world, so that we can just sleep in pods and live in this other virtual reality the rest of our existence.
So then we're
Would you
jumping
want
into
that,
Ready
though?
Player One too.
Yeah, we're right into Ready Player One.
Yeah.
Would you want
Ready-
that? I know you would probably want that, Alex. I just wonder if that's really
kidding
what you
me?
want.
Yeah, dude.
Would you want a terrible life where you want to always have to escape to a virtual world?
Well, I mean, that's what people do nowadays with
Yeah,
VR.
exactly.
Not
You jump into
100%
my
though.
But not
Oculus
This is
100%.
100% life. Like everyone on the
All the
planet
time.
is in a horrible situation.
I
Or
don't
would-
know.
It's
It
a tough one.
depends. Well, here's the thing. Right now, our Earth and world, yes, it may be crumbling down in politics and all this other BS, but we're still living in a livable world where we don't need to be in a virtual setting. Eventually, like for instance, Ready Player One, I'm actually in the middle of reading it all over again, probably fourth time. I love the book. It's fantastic.
Agreed.
I mean, sorry.
Read.
No, I
Oh,
said
okay,
agreed,
fine.
but
Oh, that's
I
I
did
said
read.
I
I'm
said
sorry.
agreed. I didn't say read with quotes, but if you want to go with that.
I like that version better, actually.
Anyways, in Ready Player One, yeah, where the whole world they go through these whatever, like where they have these
The
giant power
stacks.
surges and they have to live closer and closer to power grids and they have to live closer to where the internet and stuff like suburbs don't even exist anymore. And yeah, the stacks, they now live in trailer parks that are 40 stories high. I mean, what is that? That's based in 2045. We've only got like what 25 more years before that's supposed to happen.
Would you
That one
want
feels
that?
really believable. All the post-apocalyptic futures.
It really does.
I
Because
mean,
you think about it, that's what we would do
Kind
as a
of,
species. We would hook up to video games
absolutely.
and escape into
And you
our
need
own
more and
world.
more internet if you're streaming shows or using VR. All of our culture is based on content consumption.
It is.
It is.
Yeah, you can sit there and live in your stories, you know?
And
Here's your
that's-
story of the week. Pick which character you want to be in your story this week.
You
Yeah.
can play the video like you're Matthew Broderick in War Games or whatever, and just act out the
there you
whole
go.
role.
Checked out the whole flick sinks.
Yeah.
Thank you, Ernest Klein. I want to bring you on as a guest, Ernest Klein. I hope you're listening.
Friend of the show.
Friend of the show.
Just being shy about coming on.
I got to
Yeah,
get
it's
him to
okay.
sign my DeLorean. I'm gonna have him sign right next to Bob Gale's signature on my DeLorean. I think that'd be awesome. Anyways, Ernest Cline wrote Ready Player One. Andy wrote the movie too, which that scene, the what is it, the racing scene, fantastic. But that's not what we're talking about. But if we are talking about cars, we can talk about.
No,
Mad
we're not
Max.
talking about cars. We're talking about VR Escape from.
Oh no, I'm saying Mad
He was
Max
trying to
is
segue.
also a guy who's. I'm trying to segue, not as smooth as you guys, but I'm doing my own way. Okay.
Okay.
He's grinding his gears here.
He's
Come
riding
on.
his little segue over, talking about cars.
But no, I mean, if we wanted to jump into, because Mad Max's car was in Ready Player One, the movie.
Yeah.
I mean,
And Mad Max is definitely a post-apocalyptic world.
It's one of the most brutal of all.
Very brutal. It's like that
Yeah.
is not a world I would want to. I mean, I would want to live in if long as people weren't trying to kill me all the time. Like I would love to like see all these badass creations of like different vehicles and stuff and flamethrowers and but I would not want all those guys coming after me all the time and trying to fight for survival and fight for gas and stuff and water. No thanks.
see, and that's where like a lot of these post-apocalyptic, that's where it's just not as fun. It's not fun. Like when we were talking about, I'm not even gonna try saying post-apocalypse anymore.
Okay.
Like at least when you watch what is it, Ready Player One, you can see that being a future that's still livable and people aren't really in the streets killing each other. I mean, I guess in the book when you go on the outside of the cities, yeah, there's tons of people killing and stuff, but I mean, it's not as bad as like Mad Max or some of these
Mad Max is pretty brutal.
or like
Not
Book of
only that,
Eli.
but the look of the world, it's like all desert.
Yeah,
All-
that's
There's
all it is.
horrible sandstorms that
Desolate.
kill people. Yeah, you go to regions where the earth has like acid pools now that can kill you on contact, and it's much worse than just the people you're dealing with.
Well, isn't that with Mad Max, wasn't all of that the result of nuclear war? I don't remember what was the reasoning for their
I believe it was nuclear
fallout.
war. It's been a while since I've seen the original first
Yeah.
one,
Yeah.
the Road Warrior. But
And
Yeah.
the newest one, what was the newest one called? Fury Road?
Fury Road, yeah.
Road.
Yeah, that one didn't really explain much. There was barely any dialogue in that whole movie. It was just go, go, go.
It was
Buckle-
all visual.
Well, it had Tom
Here we
Hardy,
go.
so you weren't gonna get much dialogue anyway.
Thank God. Jeez, the guy
and they strapped something over his
in his
face
mouth
too.
talk.
Like,
I got a parasite. Sorry. Sorry, that was his Venom.
wrong movie.
I don't know. Venom could maybe the start of a post-apocalypse.
Maybe.
Hey,
Tom Hardy's
Or
if
right.
those-
dystopian.
Yeah, there we go. You know what? I think Prague already explained what all that stuff is.
What the distinction is between post-apocalyptic and dystopian?
Thank you. Yes, I can't say these words. They're too big.
Flash.
I'm glad that I set up that challenge at the beginning of the episode, though.
I'm not going to edit it back to add a dinger every time we mess up. Fans of the show, please help us out.
Please do. That'd be funny if you did. Yeah, but those movies were like, I'm trying to think, because the one that was kind of the ripoff of that was Waterworld, kind of same idea, but just on water.
It's so good.
I
I don't
know.
know why
It's a guilty pleasure for me.
Really?
It's a bad
I
movie,
had
but
so much
it's such a
fun.
guilty pleasure. I love it. I love that movie. But I like those kind of movies like Mad Max and stuff with like crazy, chase scenes and crazy
Right.
looking vehicles and stuff. And I mean that one actually might be somewhat plausible, maybe not too plausible, but if all the ice caps melt and stuff, waters will rise, and who knows what would happen.
I'm not going to get
well,
into
decades.
any of that.
So
Waterworld's tough because water's such an amazing force that we can live with it. We need it to live, but it also can kill us.
yeah, easily.
It's amazing.
And in water too, like they live on the ocean. That's all salt water. You can't really.
Can't even
Yeah, you
drink.
can't even live on
drink
that.
it. That's why he had to pee and purify his own urine to drink it. So,
The future.
the future.
That's what you call post-apocalyptic. If ever you have to drink your own piss, you're in a post-apocalypse.
That's a piss take.
Ding.
Stock up on
Indeed.
Brita filters.
Yeah, stock up now. What are those life straws? What do they call it for the people that
Oh
go up wild?
yeah, the life
Stock up
straws.
on your life straws, everybody.
Oh, I saw a video not too long ago. A guy took a life straw and tried to drink the water from like sewage.
Yeah, I think
I don't know why
Big-
people want to try. Why do you want to try
They're
this
just
stuff?
trying to prove a
That's a
point.
Darwin
and it's
Award
not gonna
type of
work.
thing.
Mhm.
So bad, man. I
Yeah,
hate
they
that.
want to prove it works. But if that might have to be our future, I don't know. You never know. The Earth is cyclical. I mean, it could happen.
You know
at
what?
some
My
point.
mom always told me this. One day the earth is going to shake us off like the fleas we are. And yeah, eventually it's all going to happen. So,
That was
So-
it. That was just there was no like moral or anything. That
no,
it
I mean,
just
well,
ended the
yeah, because
sentence
we're
at there.
ruining Earth. I'm talking about how we ruin Earth with all these nuclear wars. If Mad Max ends up happening, if Waterworld ends up happening, that's Earth just saying, hey, you guys are the virus. Get out of here.
True that. So maybe it's better that we have one of these futures where we are off-world then, colonizing other places. Mars and
Example?
beyond. Maybe I think we kind of did at the few that I can think of offhand.
There was Elysium, which was a
Uh,
terrible.
Yeah, I can't remember that movie. That's how bad it was. I'm like, that ring that rich people
Yeah, they
live
build
on?
that space
Like,
ring for the
that's all
super
I
fancy
remember.
houses, and then on Earth it's all horrible, huge, tall stacks of stuff.
Yeah, I
Well-
mean, I guess. I don't know.
I guess Elite is kind of a post-apocalyptic too, huh?
Or even Star Trek. They are trying to, boldly go where no man's gone before, trying to colonize.
It's not
other-
apocalyptic based,
It's
or
not,
is it?
though.
right. They're just trying
There's not-
to.
In Star Trek, they never go into what causes the impetus to band together, where country and religion and all the divisions that we have don't matter, and
Right.
work just as humanity to go to the stars, to create a replicator so food doesn't matter.
Maybe
be
that's what
able
we
to-
need to do.
There needs to
CBS
be
All
some
Access
kind of turning
needs to
point.
do this. Let's get friend of the show Ed to get on CBS All
Ah,
Access to do.
Ed Pogue, yeah,
that.
do the research
Yeah.
for us because we're not going to.
Is CBS All Access? There's a free month trial right now rather than 7 days. I might have to check it out once Picard's done.
Oh, and speaking of CBS All Access, they are going to have a new post-apocalyptic show that is actually a remake of a book adaptation from Stephen King called The Stand. So The Stand was like a multi-part miniseries back in, I believe, the early 90s. That was actually one of his better, not great, but it was one of his better, like, made-for-TV movie adaptations of his books. But they're actually going to do it again for CBS All Access. So if you're interested in that, this one's more about a virus outbreak, that not a zombie outbreak, just a straight up virus that kills 99% of the population. And it really comes down to the people that just want to revel in the end times, like be bad, or the people that want to do good and try to carry on. And what would you do in that future? Would you take the stand against the evil people and the bad men?
Stephen
not.
King's so hot right now. You throw his name onto anything, and they got to make it into some kind of movie or TV show.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right. That's what they're doing. I don't know if CBS All Access was the best choice for this because I don't know how dark they're gonna be able to get. I guess it's CBS All Access is streaming,
All
so they can
Access,
probably
yeah.
go pretty
They can
hard
pay for
R.
it.
I just don't know if CBS would do that.
That's true.
Yeah.
I
We'll
mean,
see.
if it's just on streaming, though, why not?
Well, CBS
Well-
still has a brand.
Yeah, they still
Yeah.
have
Their brand is old people.
Yep. No offense, old people.
Yeah, that's why.
I
Prague
mean,
is
yes.
good.
That's
Sorry,
what CBS's
Prague.
brand is. Old people is not a negative. That's what CBS's brand is.
Yeah. It's daytime
So-
television.
May or may not work, but Stan is a great book up until the ending. The ending's not so great, but he apparently is going to rewrite the ending, so it might have a new one. We'll see.
You know how he is. He
That's
can't
how he
write
is.
endings.
He just can't. He knows this, so he's just done with it. He's like, it's the way it is. I'll try to write a new one that's a little bit better. And yeah, so check that out. CBS All Access. That's probably coming, I think, next year. If you haven't checked out the miniseries, it's actually pretty decent. I think it's worth a watch. But I would not want to live in that world at all. I do
Virus
not. I'm a
outbreak
fan of
worlds.
virus outbreak worlds. Not my thing.
Virus outbreak worlds where you're one of the last few people and all the people you know are dead. That would
Yeah,
be a horrible
why?
life.
Well,
Why would you-
okay. What would you guys do? What would you guys do personally if, like, let's say the four of us and like a few million other people were still left around, and I mean, there's only patches of civilizations here and there. What would you guys do? Would you guys go out and try and find something to do? Like, what? What would be
Honestly,
you guys' plan?
I think I would probably just try to find anything that's fun and just live out the rest of my days doing just fun stuff. Not like bad stuff like they do in The Stand. Like they all go gang up in Vegas and just be awful people. Like I would just like fun things to play with, like go-karts and stuff, and ride everything out until batteries die and everything's done, and that's it.
And then
What else are you gonna do? That's
Chuck
it.
yourself
Die.
over a cliff?
Yeah, why not? That's it. It's over.
No, dude.
So
No, that's me.
what are you thinking then?
I know, that's what I'm trying to figure out.
Yeah, how are you gonna
Like,
survive
what are you
this?
gonna dive into like every book and research how to have
No.
corn clone itself to bring the society back? I mean, what's
No,
the
no.
alternative to just having fun? You have to research
No,
how to fix
I
the
think
problem, right?
No,
Exactly.
I think having fun is a great idea. I don't think killing yourself after your batteries run dead is a good idea. I think that's where my takeaway of his whole story was. But I think a
Pretty
great
much is. Yeah.
a great example of what I would like to do is, I know it's a stupid show, but it's called Last Man on Earth, where he drove around an RV around the United States. He went to like the White House. He's, hung out in the White House. He drove all over. He grabbed a DeLorean and drove a DeLorean around. He did all this fun stuff. Like, that's what I would do. I think in one of his
That's what I
mansions
said.
that he lives
Right.
in, he's got like Michael Jordan's signed jersey on his wall. He's got like all this crazy stuff all over it. And I'm like, that would be a pretty fun place to live.
Well, that was my point. I want to do that kind of stuff. But what are you going to do when everything runs out? Because you're not going to have people to run the PG&E for you, to run power. What are you going to do to purify your water? Like, what are you going to do? You can't. I mean, you don't have
Live by
society.
a river.
Sure. Okay.
There, right there.
All right.
You live
Perfect.
by a river. You've got water that you can boil, because you can power it by using a water turbine or turbine.
What if-
is that
what
it?
Are
if
you
the
going to
wa-
design one of those? Are you going to make
Yeah.
one of those?
And what if the water is tainted with the
You don't
virus?
think that there's already some out there?
You
So
don't
the
think
water
they'll
would be tainted.
break down, or don't you think people have to man them and know how to use them?
Yeah, I can learn.
Or do you think they just
It's
run by
research.
themselves?
He's
It's
gonna
a
read.
manual? I'll just read the manual.
Read. There's no audiobook versions of the manual.
Might be an audiobook.
Ouch.
You never know.
Uh,
You gotta
Audible
catch
still
all
around?
that YouTube stuff before it goes down.
yeah.
Yeah, the internet's probably going down pretty quick.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure there's no internet.
Electricity's probably down.
Jeez,
Yep.
nobody will survive if there's no internet.
Exactly.
Yes,
What are they going to
agreed.
do, right? Nothing. They're not going to be able to do anything at all.
You go back to the olden times, like on C, that amazingly terrible Apple TV show,
Oh, jeez, I
Oh.
forgot about that. Thanks for bringing
and
that
you get nude in the
Oh.
power generator,
up. What
and
the
you do
hell?
some weird god stuff.
That's so weird. That show, man. Not weird like in a good way either.
No,
Like, God, this is so bad.
but
It's
that
like,
was
it
a
was like-
post-apocalyptic future.
yeah, I guess it was. Oh, it's awful. I don't want to see that future at all. Ugh.
Well, literally,
Alright.
yeah.
But anyways, I wanted
That's
to
why
go.
everybody goes blind. They just can't handle it. It's a choice.
Yeah, I can't handle this woman, what she's doing in that room.
Oh, and that was episode 1.
Yeah, that was the
I
first
know.
episode right at the
Who
gate.
even knows what happens after that?
I don't want to know. Ugh.
Yep.
But anyways, I wanted to say like the flip side of like that virus, killing 99%, there was the show The Leftovers, which only took away 2% of the entire population, which is still kind of tragic because you do everyone will know at least somebody who left, whether it's their own family member who departed or, someone else. I think that might be more doable, but it could cause some other tensions because in the show, there are like cult groups that rise up. They're like, very religious and say it's about religion. You need to do this. Or some people say it's not religion at all. You need to do this. And some terrorist groups start forming up because of it, because they say it's a thing. So it has its own, quirks about it. But I think that might be a more livable situation than having almost the entire population wiped out because of a disease that you can catch. Or would you be worried about being raptured or taken to hell or something every 2 seconds? I don't know.
Every 2 seconds? What?
I don't know. You're walking around like, am I going to be zapped away any second now? I don't know.
You're just talking to Prague, and then
Oh.
Ah, damn it, I'm in hell again.
God dang it.
And then
Again.
whop, and I'm back. Okay, hello.
Again. Too bad for hell. They send them back.
that's like the post-snap of Endgame or of Infinity
Yes.
War, the post-snap world.
I
It
was going to
is,
bring
yeah.
up, Infinity War, because that's pretty much,
It is supposed.
Yeah.
When
What?
Paul Rudd's walking through the cities of San Francisco, I mean, it's terrible looking.
All the boats are washed up to shore too. Yeah, it's not not an easy world to live in. There's some cleanup to do.
Oh
know?
yeah, but Audi is still making brand spanking new cars.
Well, yeah,
Yep.
of course.
Yeah,
They're
that's
Audi.
true.
Audi, even if they lose half of their workforce, they're still good.
Oh
That's
yeah,
what-
they're still cranking out
They're still
these
trying to make money.
beautiful new cars.
Yeah. It's
Beautiful.
just because Tony Stark wanted one. He probably designed it himself. With time travel, he just
Yeah, it's
he
probably-
made an Audi in his
The
spare
Audi
time.
sticker on it or whatever. Just put a Stark logo. I don't know. Well, all this talk about how the world could come crumbling down and then us
Yes.
leaving, that's a great segue into Wall-E, because
Wally.
Only-
we left Earth to go live on a cruise ship out in outer space.
That's interesting, huh? Because it's two of the same. It's like two different things we talked about already, but in one.
Yeah.
So
It
not only
all-
did we leave Earth, but we leave Earth, and we're in a virtual reality world, kind of in a way, because we're just stuck to the tube, watching.
But there
things.
Just a big fatty rolling around in a
Yeah.
little floating chair.
Yeah.
Yep.
I tell you what, that sounds perfect. If I could float around and just gain weight all day, dude, and nobody would
Well, I
care,
mean,
yeah,
yeah.
all right, I'm all in on this.
Just
All
watching
right,
TV,
nobody
eating
cares.
all
Maybe
day.
I don't know. Yeah, just watch TV,
Yeah.
play video games all day, and
And
Yeah.
do the robot medicine they have able to handle heart disease and all the problems that come with obesity?
ooh, I don't know. They didn't really talk about that,
Oh.
did they?
Yeah.
I didn't think about all that.
Because the
stuff.
population's not gonna. I don't know. The population is only fit on the ship. The entire Earth population is only on that ship, and if everybody is like 300, 400 pounds, they're gonna die off pretty young.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if they're not getting off their chairs, they're not reproducing. So
Yeah.
That's
Well,
true,
there's also
too.
complications of childbirth at that weight too.
yeah.
Well, there's also complications of bone loss. The fact that they were up there for however many years, and the fact
Bone
that
loss. Sorry.
They,
Sorry.
well, no,
I
they have
can't
like
even handle it.
they have like no bones.
No, I
There's
know.
no bones about it, guys.
In the movie, they're like, yeah, because we live in space, we got no bones.
Trevor
Oh,
couldn't contain
oh,
himself.
I can't.
Okay.
It's weakling in
I-
space.
Never mind. Went from reproduction to bones.
Yeah, that's
Like those
that,
marquees
that
outside of a
transition
dealership,
was a setup.
flapping away
Oh,
in
that
space.
was terrible.
Flailing arm tube man.
I'm sorry, mom and
But
dad.
anyways, second episode can't recommend.
Oh, okay. People need to watch the YouTube and watch you guys flail
Gotta watch
around.
the visuals. Oh yeah, for that one. Sure.
Oh my god! But yeah, Wally. I don't know.
There's no way they fit 7 billion people on that
Well,
cruise
it's
ship.
not 7 billion. A bunch of people have died.
Well, of
The Earth doesn't have any plants left.
Yeah, but we got a sweet cruise ship.
It is a sweet cruise
Plants
ship.
and water. I don't know.
There's the water.
Why? Here's the thing. If that cruise ship could go as far as it did, why didn't it just go to another Earth? Why did it leave Earth and didn't? We'll wait until Earth creates
Well-
plants again.
Finding another Earth isn't the easiest thing. It's not like,
We've already found the other
And
Earth.
it's a movie for 5-year-olds. I don't think they're thinking about that either.
well, no, but a cruise ship that could reach another Earth, you know, they haven't. You'd have to figure out like warp speed type of. You're going faster than the speed of light. I don't think that cruise ship is capable of that.
No, not with that many fatties on board.
Yeah, weighted down.
Weight
No
doesn't
way.
matter in
I know.
space. Spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert. In Earth, no one can hear you fat and up. Yes. Sorry.
That should have been the tagline.
Should have
We need a
been.
new Wally that's not about the robots and just about the fat people.
That's all it is. Just the fat people the whole time. What are they doing? Where are their bones? Where's the other Earth? What's happening with these guys?
Well, I thought last week was a train wreck. This week's going down.
Who would
the
have thought
same
that Wally, of all the movies,
Oh, all of them would send
Yeah.
us off the rails.
who
Where's
would have
Evie
thought?
to save us, man?
Eva.
Wally.
Hmm.
Well, there's also a lot of young adult items. So we'll go from the kids realm to more young adult, the YA books, the books.
Yeah.
Yeah, Queen.
They dive into post-apocalyptic worlds all the time.
Oh, they love it. Oh yeah.
Yeah, Hunger Games and Maze Runner and Divergent, all these kinds of ideas of now let's see these teenagers in these terrible situations rather than adults.
Yeah, and they have to like compete and stuff and see
And
who's
so-
the fittest.
Gotta entertain the rich.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, the rich are bored and they're like, all right, let's make these kids do it.
Yeah, let's watch these kids murder each other. Which,
Right?
by the way, Hunger Games. I don't know if you guys ever saw Battle Royale, old Japanese movie. It's
I've heard of
it's
it. I've not seen it.
exactly the same thing as Hunger Games, except that it came out like maybe 10 to 20 years before Hunger Games came out. Wow. When I was in college, my buddy showed me that movie, and that was a little gruesome because these kids are hacking each other up, and they're pretty gory.
Nice.
And then Hunger Games comes out, and it's like,
G-rated.
I'm gonna shoot you with a bow and arrow. Watch
Shoot
out.
you in the butt.
Heat
Watch out.
I mean, nowadays that's equivalent to what kids see now with Fortnite. They are in all these battle royale games. They're like, oh yeah.
Oh, good segue.
So I mean, I only say that because what is it? A couple of years ago, some rich guy says he's gonna create an island and do a real life battle royale for people.
Well, that's like the hunt that they're finally going to release, right?
Oh yeah.
Universal
yeah,
greenlit it where
the-
you can hunt humans.
Mhm.
Interesting.
That actually looks like it's gonna be pretty gory too. The way that they've set that up.
Yeah, no, it's
It's definitely taboo in the society right now, so
yeah.
Which makes it even more interesting.
interessante.
Ah, muy interesante.
You know what we missed? We talked about all these robots and stuff. We never talked about Terminator.
Dun, 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 dun.
Well, that's
Dude.
like
Dun, dun,
if the
dun, dun, dun.
Matrix. It's before, so essentially the machines chose time travel instead of creating the little pods where it turns us all into little batteries to power themselves, or power the robots.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like Terminator's is the transition step to the Matrix. Like the Matrix is like 150 years, and Terminator's
After.
like 2032 or whatever.
Right. Yes. It's like further along. That makes
Yeah.
sense. I like
The
that.
machines they finally killed John Connor after all these times going back in the future.
We keep trying. We can't do it. That's one guy.
We got him! We got him!
Now what do we
Yeah.
do? Terminate
That's a
batteries.
day that will go down in machine history. The day they killed John Connor.
So who would be the equivalent of John Carter nowadays? Like Elon Musk or what?
Oh,
He's
maybe.
the one creating all this technology.
Well,
No,
Take over
Elon
the world.
Musk is running Skynet, if anything.
yeah, John Connor doesn't create any of
Yes.
this stuff. He's just the resistance. He's the leader of the resistance, so
I like where
True.
your head's at there.
yeah. So but Elon Musk, he's the one who's gonna start the robot wars.
I think there's other
Yeah.
people already doing that with robots, then not him. There's these other teams out there. There's universities doing stuff now, and they're
Plus, dynamic.
There's like what Disney's doing. They have that new animatronic Spider-Man that can
Oh.
somehow launch in the air, spin around, and land.
wow.
It's amazing that they're gonna pull that off.
Well, did you hear what their plan is for that? Like whenever you walk into the Marvel land, they're gonna have that thing pretty much bouncing back and forth, just
Gosh.
back and forth.
Can you
That's
imagine
gonna
that
be
coming to
crazy
life
wild.
and
That's
like
crazy.
killing somebody?
Or if it just
Web
doesn't
slinging.
launch right and
doesn't-
launches right into a crowd,
Right? Whoa!
it might be bad.
boy!
Spider-Man, killing people with just one hand.
Oh, nice.
There you go.
That was excellent.
Wow. Okay, let's get back on track.
Back on track, you say. Okay. Well, we were talking about video games with Fortnite. What other video games can we think of that take place in a post-apocalyptic world?
I can't think of any.
Not any.
I see a poster behind
How about
Josh.
the big
Uh,
one
I
behind
don't
Josh?
know any like vault-based anything. Nope.
No,
Yeah, I don't
or
know
anything
anything like
anything
that.
with Pit Boys or
No.
Good Lord, just say it.
like that.
God, people at home are like, get to the point already.
We're trying to figure it out.
It's called Fallout. The world of Fallout. Many games in this world that
Mhm.
take place after nuclear disaster. And you basically travel the world in
Yeah, you
this
do.
post-apocalyptic future, gathering a bunch of junk and building society again. And there's different factions, you
It
know.
looks like a really interesting game. I haven't played it. Actually, a couple years back, my wife, she went to Best Buy and she asked the guy, "Hey, you know, what's a good game for my for my boyfriend?" We were boyfriend girlfriend,
For
and
my
at the
nerdy
time,
boyfriend.
Yeah,
He like
Yeah.
owns a
she's like,
DeLorean and stuff. He's like super nerd
I
guy.
don't think I owned the DeLorean yet. Maybe I did. I don't know. Anyways, the guy was like, "Well, you could do Fallout or you could do Assassin's Creed Black Flag." She goes, "Is that pirate game?" He's like, "Yeah." I'm like, "Done. Get him
Done.
the pirate game."
Oh,
We
Yeah.
were
did you
talking
ever-
about branching light,
Wow.
forks in your life. Imagine if she would have
Better.
got you Fallout instead of Black Flag.
What would your life have been?
Man, it would have been a lot better.
I would still
It
love
would have been a lot better.
a lot better. Give me a break. After hearing everybody whine and oh god, I gotta learn other words than curse words. Whine
Fallout
about
76.
Fallout 76. Yeah,
I
I'm
mean,
sure
that's-
that's exactly.
Well, that's
what-
different.
Well,
Fallout
well, that-
76 is not a story-based game. That's why people were complaining.
At
The
the
other
time, it
games
would
are
have probably been
story-based.
Fallout 4 for you,
Yeah.
or earlier. Fallout 4 was pretty good. I mean,
Yeah.
I like when they released the DLC for Nuka Town, to where you go into this carnival area and you explore through there. So it was pretty cool.
Yeah, that's
The
great.
different things.
Well, what's
Just-
neat about the Fallout world is they do have these different factions. You have like people who are like the new Minutemen. You have people that are like the new military. You have people who like tech military. You know, they have all the big weaponry and stuff. And then you have people that want to go underground. They want to like free all these cyborgs and machines, and they're the other people. So that's a whole other faction. So you got to kind of figure out like who do you want to side with, or do you want to be your own person, a lone wanderer?
and
It's
then
up to
there's
you.
a father who's like the person that's controlling everything.
Yeah.
And then
so-
there's just bringing the dog with you and exploring.
Yeah, that's the best part. You get to
That's it.
bring dog meat with you, and you can go explore together, and you can bark,
Well-
and
Did you call him dog meat?
that's his name. Yeah,
Oh, that's cute.
it's because he dies, and you eat him.
Spoiler alert.
What?
I just thought he ran away.
Why do you think his name is
Oh
dog?
my god! Thank
Jeez.
the Lord I didn't get that game.
Frog's like, oh yeah, I won't watch John Wick, but I
But-
love Fallout.
But at least in Fallout 4,
That's
they
that's
changed
how
it that
Prague
you
played
can't
it. He was
kill-
hungry.
No, but in Fallout 4, you can't kill him anymore. So they actually
Yeah.
did change that feature.
Yeah,
you can't
Thank
kill him
good.
anymore. Yeah, he can still get hurt, but yeah, he can't die. But cats you can, which is I guess fine. But
Well, speaking of dogs and dying,
Aw.
this is a really
This
bad one.
transition
But
better be good because I had a
Well,
good
let's-
transition.
oh, I'm thinking of I Am Legend.
oh, that is actually a good one. I don't know
That's
if it's a good
exactly
transition.
what you guys
Sure.
just said. Fallout is about a guy wandering around with a dog.
You're right.
I Am
is.
Legend,
Yeah.
post-apocalyptic world with a guy and a dog.
Yeah, I would
Oh.
not want to live in that world. That's for sure.
No, with all those like what are they? They're like
like
zombie
hyper
vampires.
beast zombies.
Ghouls.
Yeah, I like vampire
Hyper
type.
beast zombies.
Ghouls.
Yeah. I don't
Yeah,
know.
they didn't make their
Things.
mouths so big.
Yeah,
That
they're
was
just
kinda-
zombies that can run really fast instead of really slow.
And they can't touch the sunlight or something like that, so they're vampire-ish. I don't know. It was a weird movie. They
Yeah.
changed that ending. Never mind.
It falls into the whole zombie thing. There's a lot of ways to go of zombies for post-apocalyptic world, like The Walking Dead or 28 Days Later, or
Right.
guess what? We had a whole episode 39 about zombies.
Yeah, so go check that one out.
Are
If you wanna hear
zombies
our-
villains?
exactly. That's another episode too. So you have.
Well, no, that is the episode we're talking about.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go. Old Man Prague. I can't remember. I could have sworn we talked about that in different episodes, but maybe we talked about it on one. I thought we talked about on the villains episode.
No,
not the
yeah,
zombies
villains
episode.
we did our zombies villains, and then 39
Oh,
was just
thank
about
God.
zombie
Okay, good.
movies. And
So it's
yeah.
Old Man Alex this time. Nice.
What?
Ha ha ha.
we've talked about
Right.
zombies multiple times. So my
Oh.
transition for Fallout was that they're all underground dwellers. There's the whole vaults
right.
that they live in. And so 10 Cloverfield Lane is based on the idea that we're living underground in a Fallout shelter, but does it actually need to be necessary? The movie kind of doesn't hint at exactly what's going on until the very end, and I don't really want to spoil it, but it has Cloverfield in the name. Hopefully you've watched the original. And just...
But it's an interesting concept because it's not the only one that kind of hints at that too, right? There's other stories about people that live underground that might not have to live underground, you know?
Right. It's a whole perception thing.
It's a fear thing
what
too.
you
It's
know.
like, well, what do I know? What am I afraid of? Is it I don't know what I'm trying to say. Like, is it something that you like built the shelter always thinking there would be a nuclear fallout, and then there was, but it really wasn't as bad as you thought, or maybe it was on the other side of the world or whatever, but you're still going to stay in the bunker because that's the only thing you've ever known. You know, you live for this moment and here you are. It's the
like
whole
Blast
psychosis
from
thing.
the Past. That Brendan Fraser movie where he
Yes.
grows
Oh
up
my
in
God.
the fallout shelter thing, and then he comes out 30 years later.
And that was a blast in the past. All right.
All you
I
ever know,
love
or-
that movie.
All you ever know is the fallout thing. Your parents have told you your whole life that the whole world
Yeah.
up top is unlivable.
That's all you know, man.
It changes your whole perception of everything.
That's like George Lucas's movie THX 1137. That was the whole premise of that movie. They were told never to escape, never leave the underground, and that's all he tries to do, and he finally does. And what was outside? Oh, it was fine. It was like nice, normal Earth. You could breathe the air just fine. It was like, what the hell's going on? Like they're just trying to subvert the culture and try to keep them in line, and it was a way that the government could really, enslave the population, really. So not a very happy future to live in, that's for sure.
Well,
Not
it
many of
seems
these
like-
futures
none
are
of
very
these-
happy to live in.
I
none of
know, we
these
gotta find
futures-
one that you would want to live in. Like, where would
well,
you?
Uh,
Like,
Wally.
except for Wally. Other than that, who's actually made a better future? Like, we need to find a movie that would have created something better
Well,
out of
it
the
also
chaos.
depends on your class, though. A lot of
If
these
you're a rich
futures-
person,
Oh, sure.
Yeah, if
these
you're
all
rich-
work out for you. Like,
Really
we're
do.
talking about surviving and knowing perception. The movie The Island with Ewan McGregor and Scarlett Johansson, where they're all clones
Too.
in the little clone factory.
Yeah.
The rich people have clones, so if they get in a horrible accident, they could get a replacement lungs or heart or brain or whatever.
That's good. They just kill the clones. Great.
Yeah.
where
weird.
they get to
Thanks.
go to the island.
Yeah, the
Actually,
clones.
I feel like that movie's a little underrated because it's actually pretty fun.
I enjoyed
It
it when I
is.
watched it. Yeah. I kind of forgot about it, but I did enjoy watching it. Didn't hate it. Put it that way.
Under
Was
the
it?
radar.
Well, yes, it was. Was it Steve Buscemi that was in that one too? Wasn't he like the crazy guy trying to like? I don't know. Maybe I'm mixing up movies.
Wait, hold on. Steve Buscemi, a crazy
listen-
guy?
Yeah. I know that didn't really
That's
limit
what you
it.
call range.
Well, people in the comments somewhere, let me know if he was in that movie because I don't remember. I wasn't going to Google it. So,
I don't remember.
but yeah, that would be. Yeah, I guess you're right. If you're rich in any of these scenarios, you probably are just fine.
Yeah,
in these
Pretty
futures.
much.
Except for Mad Max, because Mad Max really doesn't have any classes. It's really
No,
just
there's
a
no
person trying to ruling a clan or something. That's all about. That's all it is, really.
Well, if we jump back to Mad Max real quick, I know that I brought up Book of Eli. Did you guys see that one?
I'm familiar with it, but I've not seen it.
Okay. I mean, it was practically Mad Max, except for Denzel Washington walks around the scorched earth trying to get to like San Francisco or something like that because he's delivering a book, which should I spoil it? I don't know. Do I spoil it?
I mean,
Yeah,
is it?
it came
Is
out
it?
like 15 years ago.
15 years
Sure.
ago? Yeah, it turns out that he's like super like blind. Or I meant like he was super, I want to say intelligent or something.
Okay.
Wow, can we just cut this whole bit? Because this
No
is
way.
all.
This is great. This is great.
Thank you, Trevor, for shaking your head. Yes, I'm marking it down too. Because this
just-
was,
Be
I
funny
had-
faces for YouTube.
dude, I had a trail that I was going down, and then all of a sudden I got to where I wanted to go, and it just went.
So I guess you got trail mixed up. A bit.
Thanks. Yes, Prague. I got trail mixed.
You
Oh,
want
we
a
gotta
little
find a
nuts?
way to jump into. Let's cut the whole Book of Eli bit out. I'm not even going to talk about it.
Well,
since
the
none
other
of you guys saw.
alternative future is aliens.
Yeah, I thought
There's
about
quite
that
a few
earlier.
movies where aliens
Mhm.
come and now humans have to deal with that, like A Quiet Place, where there's this whole thing you can't make any noise at all. But there's also District 9, where you have those shrimp creatures that land in South Africa.
See, now I found that to be almost the most realistic version of what could possibly happen.
It's because they based it on apartheid. So
Yeah,
it
that
is
was the whole
very
class
real.
system. Yeah.
And I think that would happen. Like if they weren't that violent, if they did not have the ability to like just wipe us out like a lot of different aliens do in these movies, yeah, we would totally do something like that. Because we don't know what they're capable of, So let's just
Right.
border off this town and just put them in there and leave them be, and make sure they stay in there and do their deal. I can totally see that. Do whatever shrimp people do,
But it was interesting that you could turn into a shrimp person as well. I don't know.
that's
I
kinda
found that to be interesting. But that movie, like I said, I honestly that to me seems like it could happen. If an alien spaceship was to land over, and I don't know why it always lands over big cities like New York, LA, and all that.
More
That stuff.
exciting. Yes.
That's why I was really glad that District 9 went for South Africa. Like who?
Well, Johannesburg is a big city.
No, of course, but not every
not
movie
a-
is filmed in Johannesburg.
Right. That's
So
true.
it was
but I'm just
when
saying.
you watch it, it looks different. Everything
It could have
feels-
landed in the middle of like Kenya or the Congo or something, but
Right.
okay.
Ooh, that would
but
be
the
interesting.
story
too.
would be much different.
Let's do that.
Actually, and that's a cool thing to think about too. What if that
That's
space
origin of humanity.
right.
Aliens
Right.
landing and getting busy with the natives.
Yeah. Well, they do have stories like that too. Our movies,
Yes.
but anyways, well, I think that you're right.
Anyways.
We would probably enslave. That's a different kind of movie. Wink, wink, nod, nod.
I mean, Edge of Tomorrow has that whole vibe because then Emily Blunt from A Quiet Place, she becomes hardened, and so she's ready for Edge of
characters
Tomorrow.
in that movie?
It's her
Okay.
same character because everybody's
Nice.
every movie's related.
That's true. It is.
We still
Every
got to do that 6 Degrees of Kevin Bacon movie wise.
Yes. Well, we're kind of doing that. Well, we kind of do that almost every podcast now.
Yeah, we
Yes.
kind of do. We're crazy people.
We are crazy.
Yeah.
But yeah, that is, I guess, the same kind of idea there.
Well, a lot of our movies that we discussed are usually like deserty and not so much fun.
A lot of them are warnings for humanity. That's what these
Right. The
post-apocalyptic movies
cautionary
are.
tales, right? Cautionary
Yeah.
tales. Yeah.
So
What's a
that's
movie set in the future that's positive?
Back to the Future 2.
Well, it's not set in the
No, it's
future. It's
not.
not that positive.
You're right.
Yeah. Come on, Biff is taking
It
over.
is positive.
Yeah,
It's a way
Biff is
better
taking over. That's
2015.
not good.
It's
Yeah,
a
that's not
way.
good.
No, he went back to 1985. That was
Later.
wrong. Oh my God.
Just saying.
That's
Saying.
the wrong future. The future that I'm talking about from Back to the Future 2 is where it's beautiful and great and everything's prosperous. Prosperous?
Pop, pop, pop,
Yep,
pop,
prosperous. That's it.
Pop video.
You know,
Uh,
actually,
oh,
Big
man.
Hero 6. That's a pretty good future.
Is it post-apocalyptic at all?
No,
or
but it's a good
dystopian in
future.
any
I was
way?
trying to think
Okay.
of a positive future to put it positive. I mean, if we want negative dystopian stuff, we haven't even mentioned Handmaid's Tale because we don't have any feminist angle for this podcast at all.
No, we don't.
But Handmaid's Tale is one of the darkest futures that seems
Oh.
super hyper realistic.
Hmm.
It doesn't
Oh,
need
yeah.
any kind of.
Anything
That's
else,
one right there. Imagine.
I don't know.
Okay, so the idea is that our society, women or as a species, we have trouble reproducing. Women can't carry children to term, and so our birth rate drops to like 0.03% or something. So we're dying off as a species, and so they keep women in line. They have to wear, their essentially only purpose is to procreate. The only ones who've been able to have kids. So they're
Wow. Oh my
essentially
God.
sex slaves.
Right. Crazy. I mean,
Ooh.
technically, it's almost like the same thing as children of men. Only in children of men,
Mm-hmm.
and they don't enslave women. It's just like, well, it's the way it is. I don't know. Yeah, Children of Men was dark. I know you didn't like
Yeah.
that movie, but it's filmed really well. If you have a chance to see
Oh,
it,
it's
just-
beautifully filmed. I just don't
visually.
remember anything that happened.
Yeah, I mean,
I know
don't think
Clive
it was,
Owen's in it.
It wasn't necessarily a complex plot, if I remember. I think they were just they ended up there's like information that there was a child somewhere, so they went to go find it, and that was pretty much it. Like that was the point of the movie or something. I don't know, but visually, yeah, it's a really visually wonderful looking film. It's very dystopian, people in cages and stuff, and all sorts of groups of people trying to kill other people for whatever reason. I don't know. I guess the whole point is that there's no more children, there's no more hope, there's no more laughter and love and all this kind of stuff. Like what's the point of living if you can't have a future? Because children are the future, right? So,
Aww.
yeah, of course.
Aww.
Oh, I don't want kids, so there you go. There's my future. But yeah, that was that point of that future. But yeah, I think Handmaid's Tale is probably a little bit darker than that. So fun features.
Fun
Wow.
stuff.
Fun
Well,
features.
didn't Handmaid's Tale didn't that just win a bunch of awards?
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
always does.
Okay. It always
Season
does.
2, yeah, season 2
This
wasn't
is
as
a
good
show.
as season
This
1.
isn't a movie.
Oh no, it's a
Yeah,
show.
it
It's
wins
on
Emmys.
Hulu.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's on Hulu, I believe, right?
All right.
Yeah,
I'm
Hulu.
writing that
Yeah,
down.
it's Hulu's show. Really,
I think it's
you
one of the
can't
only
say
shows
much
on
about
Hulu.
Hulu, but Hulu
That's all
has
they have.
Handmaid's Tale.
Yep. They did one thing right, apparently.
Yeah.
Doesn't sound like something my wife would watch, but I'll give it a whirl.
She might. Who knows? I know Ann Dowd is in it. She's a great actress. She was also in The Leftovers, another post-apocalyptic show. So she does a really good job. And she won. I think she won the Emmy for that show. I think last year or the year before for Handmaid's Tale. So
Probably.
That's just opened up a whole nother world. Do you guys the 100?
I've heard about this show and I've been meaning to watch it and I haven't watched it yet.
Yeah, where they send I guess the world's population lives in a space station above Earth, and
Okay.
they were like, okay, well, we need to figure out if Earth is able to live. We're able to live down there, so they send 100 people down, and they pretty much colonize and take over Earth again. And I guess they find other people who have been left there. I don't know. And the
Cool.
first season, the first few episodes was really interesting, and then all of a sudden it just kind of fell off and turned into teen dramas, and it's like, all right, I'm done.
It kind of
It was
reminds me
cool.
of
It gave me that cool feel. Remember when you watched Walking Dead for the first time?
back when it was good.
Sure. Yeah.
Sorry.
For those who I don't know, do people still watch it? I don't
People
know.
still watch it apparently. Yeah, it's one that is still like the
Not
highest
as
rated
many
show.
as used to.
Oh no, it's dropped off big time, but it's still
It's
like
kind of like The Bachelor.
the highest rated.
The Bachelor, dude.
Yeah,
That
people
show-
still watch it.
Season
Never gonna die.
55. No.
That show will never die.
Speaking of dystopian future.
Yeah, in a post-apocalyptic future, it's all just The Bachelor. All dating scenarios are The
all the
Bachelor.
time.
Every relationship starts with The Bachelor.
Yeah, one guy gets to choose between 25 women within
Who
a
all are fake and don't like him at all and just care about being on TV.
yeah.
So there is a movie that's kind of related to that called The Lobster, which was kind of like an art housey kind of movie with Colin Farrell. And I haven't seen the movie, but apparently it's based in the future where everyone must be in a relationship. You cannot be single. Being single is illegal. So you have to
And
find some
Yeah, if you don't find someone, you turn into the animal that you
whatever
choose.
the animal. So yeah, so he chooses a lobster, right? So that's kind of the
And then that's how Lars and the
Yes.
Real Girl fits into that movie. Because he
that
chose the
also-
blow-up doll to fit
see?
in. Everything's connected.
Everything is, man. Life is just one giant blow up doll, man. We're all just living inside it. As a real girl,
comes up with these ideas,
Wow.
man.
I don't know, but somebody out there does, and they're getting paid
Well, hold
for
on.
it.
Oh, okay, never mind. I feel like the walrus, or what was it, walrus and the lobster came out around the same time, and I always get those mixed up. One was like a Kevin Smith movie,
It's called
and
Tusk.
then
Yeah.
Tusk. Thank you, not
Yeah.
the walrus.
Close enough. Walruses have us.
Two
Whatever.
very different stories, but yeah.
Are they?
Yeah.
Okay, I never saw either one of them.
I believe Tusk is more like a horror type movie where he
Yeah, it's a
turns into
horror.
this
Yeah.
creature. Apparently, it was terrible.
Yeah, it was.
So
I wrote down a bunch of I thought Snowpiercer was a great post-apocalyptic. I mean, okay, sorry. Let me start over. It wasn't great, but it was a
Okay.
movie.
but it was a movie. It was there.
But it had Captain America in it, and
nice.
I thought that would be notable because the people, like the class, goes throughout the train. Which I don't understand why they built a giant train to survive through a snowstorm or whatever.
That's weird.
Like
right?
the whole, everybody lives on a train. Nobody lives off this train, or something like that. Like
Isn't
everybody
the H1
dies.
Also in this movie.
Is that?
Isn't the Ancient One also in that movie? From
Believe
the world of
yes.
Marvel? Yeah, okay. I forget her name.
And they're making a TV show about this.
They are.
Hey.
And the
How-
movie's directed by the guy who did Parasite. It's one of his first US-based
That's
releases.
right. That's why I've heard his name before. It's because of that movie.
Yeah. Well, it was. I'm guessing you guys haven't seen Snowpiercer then.
No.
Give it a try. It's a fun watch. It's not. I mean, it's not going to change your life or anything, but it's a
Oh, you're
fun.
really selling it on us, but okay, I will.
Well, hey, if you got
I'll
nothing to
watch it
do
then.
on a Sunday,
Spoiler-free movie
Why?
review of the week.
That's
Yeah,
right.
it
It's
changed my
courtesy
life.
of
I
Alex.
don't want to watch it then.
It won't change your life.
No, hey,
If you got some time and you have nothing better to watch, and maybe.
It was all right. I saw it was on like Netflix, and I was like, I'll give this a try. It's got Captain America in it.
Well, there you
Excellent.
Yeah.
So, is that our discussion of post-apocalyptic movies?
I guess so. We didn't even
So.
get into Fifth Element.
I know. Oh well. I guess
That
it didn't
would've
have a
been-
pass.
What
The
about the
multi-pass
Guardian's
is
Guide
today.
to the Galaxy? What about Escape from New York?
Hey man, there's a lot of
That's
them.
Home Alone.
It's quite the trope. This is Home Alone.
This is the end.
There's a lot. I know.
Another Franco and another movie.
Mhm.
Yeah, I guess this is the end.
This is the answer.
If you have any suggestions of movies we should have talked about, let us know.
Definitely.
And be sure to let us know who do you think will survive the longest of us four in any of these apocalyptic worlds.
Oh, give me a break. We all know the answer.
Yeah,
And I think that's everything for episode 53. To everyone listening, we hope you enjoyed, and we'll talk to you next time.
Prog out.
Yeah.
Well, this is going to look bad because I don't have a clickbait of the week yet. What was that one that we talked about, Prague?
I don't remember now. It's a long
I
time
don't remember
ago.
either, but we literally just talked about it.
Did we write it down? Oh, mayonnaise. The mayonnaise woman.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of how to word that one.
I don't know, man.
Mayonnaise one.
Mayo. I said mayo. Mayo coming. I eat it all day.
Mayo coming. I mean, seriously, dude. We're talking about cum and mayonnaise. You're just not even... No shame.
No shame, man.
Okay, I got it. Can a woman eat? Oh, God. So it's even gross to think about, dude.
Can a woman ingest?
Can a woman eat?
Uh-huh.
Oh, hold on. No, I don't have it anymore.
A
You
whole
guys
jar
talk.
of mayonnaise? What are you
No,
going-
she eats eight.
Only
Is that world
mayonnaise?
record?
She eats 8 jars of mayonnaise. Can a
Huh.
woman eat 8 jars of mayonnaise in 3 minutes? That's
Yes.
your clickbait of the week. And yes, you're right. You're right. She does.
Well, I didn't see that one coming.
World record. Oh, that is the grossest world record ever, man.
Let's stop it. Let's stop it.
It was hard to watch, man. It really was.